Black Eye link up. But I'm on TV. So open that.
Senator be praised to whom all praise are due is the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated Women Auxiliary presents Empress Sadie Saunders.
Well, greetings and thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to hear from the musical unit. Of course, we know this is our musical director from the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated Local 26 musical unit, Mr. Peter Shiloh. We are so very happy to have him on with us almost every Sundays. And of course, thank him very much for that jingle that he did. That is going to last us one lifetime. So we thank each and everyone who was able to come out this Sunday. This is the Sadie Sunday show, which is really your show. I am just your host on behalf of the Woman Auxiliary of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, Local 26. I'm coming to you live and alive. So it's always a pleasure to be with family, my wonderful in-house audience, and a many thanks to Charlie, our engineer, who wears many hats. He's only Charlie on Sundays, but that's a secret that we wouldn't disclose. On Tuesdays, it's a different order of things. We, however, promote the Ethiopian World Federation and the things that we do for the Federation, as we are, in fact, ambassadors for this cause. A wonderful organization for we, the Black people of the world, founded in 1937 by His Majesty Haile Selassie I. So we do enjoy each other's company on the Sundays. What we do, as we jokingly say, we have information that is normally placed on the rug, which we didn't place, but it's placed on the rug all the same. And we take it out and we examine it, and then we simply put it back. We thank each and everyone for coming out, and for those who are not using their phones at this time, if you would kindly be so kind to mute your phones so that way we can have a smooth running without any interference. Because sometimes we have a tiny space we share on Sundays. So we thank each and everyone, as I said, for coming out, and for our audience who is out there listening with us. And be sure to mute your mic if you're not speaking at the moment. It's Sunday, it's our day, and we, as we said, we examine the things that are under the rug, and we examine it and we would put it back. What's really happening in our neck of the woods? We are experiencing, well, I was so corrected by my little brother Black Eye last week that we are not at war, but some people we know are having a war. It's a case of conversation again for us for this week, where it's a situation of understanding, particularly the news and what it does for us as far as information goes, and what can be done as far as what we do with information. Information is here with us as stating a war is happening and something is going on. But about the truth of what is being reported, we are wondering what this truth could possibly mean or what this truth could possibly be. Since the news has stated, well, different, even as we speak of truth, AI is bringing us news also. So now it's difficult for us who's watching the news to tell even what is real or fake. Fake news has gone to a new level because AI is as real as you can get. And it's really difficult to decipher who is real or who is AI. Although at various times, you really have to stop and you can tell. you can tell in some videos, that's AI infiltration. But other than that, it's become extremely difficult. And I don't even know how the world is going to interpret some things, or why is this purposely done, that now with having news we are so confused. So we get back to the war before we slip too far off. There's news reported that a US Navy ship has been bombed by the Iranians, and this ship has sunk. I believe it's the USS Grenary or something along that way. I hope I'm not messing up the name of the ship. And this news is there with us, and we have to examine, is it AI or is it real? Or is it that some news will not be mentioned? What is happening as well in Israel, it has been reported that journalists can no longer take pictures of what's happening in Tel Aviv, as they'll be fined 5 years in prison. Now, is this news real, or is it something that is just there? What do we do? So I know we do have a few clips that will be shown a little later on in the show, and we would have to decide if it's real or not, or where do we go with the news that's happening. Speaking of which, sometimes last year, there was some news reported in Florida that the aliens had arrived, and there was some footage given, and there was some footage hidden as well. At that time, we were in the high peak of the alien season, where your host herself was disappearing, and I claim the aliens took me at different times. But speaking of news, however, no, that didn't make the news. That was just between us and this show and the million viewers that are watching. However, in Florida, concerning the aliens and their appearance, or, you know, allegedly appeared, a lot of footage had been removed from such that time. It was deemed as fake news, and some people even had their videos removed and taken down, and the conversation stopped. I even think two um, people from YouTube who are content creators allegedly disappeared. We don't even know, as I said, what is the news or real. But however, recently, within the last week or two, as I searched the platforms to see, what should we talk about, or what is of importance, I noticed, however, that this news has resurfaced. It's big again on the reel. You would think almost like it happened last week, but this is something happened, I think, for summer last year sometime. We did it on our show. I can't remember because the days is going by so fast. It's even March already. And I didn't even know when February slipped past. But all the same, the news is here with us. And we are in, well, I have to correct myself. There is a war going on, and there's some unstable conditions happening around the world. And at this point, we are wondering, what news do we take up? So, Charlie, I know you have a reel of some important things that are happening in and around us concerning the war that's happening in Iran. And Iran and Israel is at war, backed by American funding and their armies backing with their fancy equipment, seeing that it's one of the most powerful armies in the world. However, we are watching, from a neutral point of view as to what is really happening, so we can really know what's our stance as things progress. We have to know the truth as regular civilians, because sometimes we are left to protect our families, ourselves, and we really cannot just be open and exposed and not knowing what's happening at the moment. So we'll ask Charlie if he would show us some of the footage of what's happening as we pay attention for the Sunday evening. And we welcome each and everyone to the studio who is here with us.
A major attack occurred in Jerusalem after Iran launched approximately 200 cluster missiles into the city. This attack was described as a retaliatory operation after Iran accused Israel and the United States of earlier airstrikes on several military facilities in Iran. The most shocking impact of this attack was the partial collapse of the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall, one of the most sensitive and historic sites in the region. In Ispis, in the region, initial information circulating indicated that the missile wave was detected by Israeli defense radars minutes before it reached Jerusalem's airspace. Israeli air defense systems were immediately activated to attempt to intercept the incoming projectiles. However, the reported number of missiles was extremely large and came almost simultaneously from multiple directions. This situation put the defense system under immense pressure, having to deal with dozens of targets in a very short time. The first explosion was reported in the western part of Jerusalem. This was followed by several other explosions heard around the Old City area. Within minutes, air warning sirens sounded throughout most of the city. Residents were urged to immediately evacuate. Video footage circulated showed a flash of light in the night sky, followed by a loud explosion that shook several buildings in the city centers. One of the most severely affected areas was the area around the Western Wall. Witnesses at the scene reported that several cluster missiles exploded in midair before dropping submunitions over a wider area. The series of explosions caused strong tremors that damaged several structures around Jerusalem's Old City complex. Shortly after the series of explosions, initial reports from local authorities indicated that part of the Western Wall stone structure had collapsed. Large stones were seen falling from the centuries-old section of the wall. The surrounding area was immediately cordoned off by Israeli security forces due to the perceived risk of further collapse zones. Rescue teams and military units were immediately deployed to the site to conduct evacuations and assess the damage. Officials used heavy equipment and search equipment to ensure no one was trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, the Old City of Jerusalem was immediately declared a state of emergency due to the perceived high risk of further attacks. Basavasco. The Israeli government, in its initial statement, described the attack as one of the most serious attacks on Jerusalem in decades. In addition to the physical damage to the buildings, the collapse of the Western Wall also sparked widespread reaction, as the site holds significant historical and religious significance for the Jewish community worldwide. Iranian media, on the other hand, reported that the attack was part of a retaliatory operation for what they described as previous military aggression against Iranian territory. The report stated that the launch of hundreds of missiles was carried out to demonstrate that Iran still has the capability to strike strategic targets in Israel in the event of a further escalation of the conflict. The attack that hit Jerusalem and caused the partial collapse of the Western Wall did not occur suddenly without warning. According to initial reports from Israeli military authorities, the first wave of missiles was detected by air defense radar systems several minutes before entering Israeli airspace. Long-range radar detected hundreds of objects traveling from the east at a high speed, indicating that this was no ordinary attack, but rather a large-scale operation. According to military sources, approximately 200 missiles suspected to be cluster missiles were launched almost simultaneously. This type of missile is known to have a different mechanism than conventional missiles, as it can release dozens of submunitions while in the air. When these submunitions disperse, the affected area can be much larger than a single explosion. Israel's air defense system was immediately activated to respond to the threat. Yet, defense units such as the Iron Dome and the David Sling medium-range interceptor system reportedly attempted to intercept the incoming missiles. However, the sheer number of incoming targets forced the defense system to work at maximum capacity.
Yes, as we have seen that, our engineer Charlie was able to give us this footage. My comment is mainly We will not get this news on this side of town or coming from Fox 5 or CNN or Channel 7. This is a case where we are having news that is given, that is just raw and unfiltered, where we have to make a decision as to what we're going to believe in the future. Now, something very important has occurred within this destruction. We speak of the Wailing Wall that has been tremendously destroyed, or major part of it. So we'll examine the historical connection to this wall and then the present day connection. Oh, sure, I don't know if we should go first or last or behind, but let me just drop it on you real quick. The Wailing Wall has been a first attraction for the Jewish people, as I said, Jew, and they have had this making millions of dollars because people would leave and go on various expeditions to this Wailing Wall. As to why or what reason they had for this Wailing Wall, we know it was a case where even heads of countries, including, Obama, George Bush, and those various politicians, respect unto their names, President Obama, President Bush, and most of the presidents have gone there when they have won their presidency, whatever reason. This we will do in another show. However, the historical facts about this wall, because we do the facts over on the side. This is a case of Nimrod's housing. This was the remnants of the Tower of Babel. If we should remember, once had a certain sort of ambition that they're going to build a tower that will lead up into the sky, into the heavens. And the tower went up for quite a while into the sky until, if story be true, they were confused and that construction had to be diminished. Hence the reason, some things are true because you have historical references to it. So this is in fact the remnants of the Tower of Babel, and it really wasn't of God. So we are speaking here of a time where we are seeing ancient things being brought before us, and yet we're in a very modern time. So it's a case where a lot of things are coming full cycle, and I mean full cycle. Seeing that we are in the year 10. Yep, we starting over. It's like in the beginning, and I don't want to be like darkness was upon the earth and everything, because that I will give you all in a few minutes from now, because we are approaching a certain time. But I don't want to lose my. So we are going back to this very wall. This area has shown great significance as to the understanding of what is really happening. The war has been destroying significant areas and strategic buildings, places, and things, countries. It is telling a story by itself. The attack on Dubai is a story about wealth, ambition, and vanity. I would like us to bear in mind, because we are the smart cookies over the side, that we often go into biblical things because we are in a spiritual time of our spiritual self. So it's world without end. Amen. That's true. But the world that we know it to be and how it has been structured is going to be changing. There's going to be a massive change before us. The type of war that is being fought now, it's really a time where we often speak of it, but it's upon us right now. It's spiritual warfare. For those of us who have been good students on this show or who have read your books and have been good students otherwise, it has been told many, many years ago, because I listen to these sages, that the last World War, which will be World War III, will be a spiritual World War. And that we'll see happening. The survivors of this here will be those who have lifted their vibrations and are able to exist within the realms of the spirit, whereby you will now observe Psalm 91. I said it's spiritual warfare. And of course, today's Sunday, and the Sunday school, we're not afraid and have apologies as to which time we teach the spiritual things or we call upon our Heavenly Father for guidance, because we do that every hour and the hour. And Sundays, we do Sunday school. But the Psalms has told us, 1,000 will fall at thy side, 10,000 at thy right hand, but shall come nigh thee. We have to exist now and go into our spiritual self to avoid certain disasters and dangers that is going to come upon the earth. The only way we can be secure, we have to get into that little cocoon whereby dangerous things are happening, and the only way we can be secure, we are going to ask ourselves, how could we do that? We don't have to wonder how could we do that. We have to trust and believe. So now we are really putting ourselves in some kind of trouble. How do you trust and believe? We have had this exercise coming all along where we know we are human having we are spirit having a human experience. This art of war or warfare or conversation about the war will involve us only if we take a carnal approach to it. We have to know in this here time, since we spoke of being awoke meant not just, oh my God, I wake up and I found out that Black Lives Matter or Black Facts Matter, but we wake up into understanding of we need to gravitate from the flesh into the spirit to understand what's really happening upon the earth presently. The war is not about bombs and guns and taking land. Oh, no, 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 sorry. Wrong. Not about bombs and guns, but it's definitely about taking land. Taking land simply because at this point in time, there's some very important real estate upon the earth right now. And this is where we speak of the portals. There are, from my learned friends, 12 very important portals upon this earth. And the person who own these portals own the most important real estate, control the narrative. There are 5 I can tell you about. There are 12 in all. Venezuela being one of them. There's one in Missouri where they have Stargate, where Elon Musk was so very interested in, where he built some sort of altar, I believe. You have some important parts of the Caribbean. Barbados is sitting in a very important piece of real estate. And of course, you do have as well Iran. Also, Iceland. Iceland, the piece of real estate you thought was not of any importance because, I mean, everybody know where it is, but who wants to go there? It is important in a spiritual, energetic
The
sort
show
of way.
resumes.
So this is why we are seeing wars, rumors of wars, and such things happening presently. You may say, but why it is that the president wanted to invade Iran? What it is? Is it oil? No. There is a time right now we are coming to, there's magnetic properties upon this earth within this realm And who owns it, as I said, owns the narrative. The reason why the Ayatollah Khomeini was killed, the one in Iran who was recently killed, he knows about this portal and he also wanted to secure it because there's great destruction when these portals are open. But what has happened? Oh, I would like to also, before I continue, welcome our new guests to the show. We welcome you to the show this evening. Our guest is here with us. Is that Yato is here with us? We welcome, the person dropped off. So we are just saying that, these important pieces of real estate, which I understand is 12 of them, stargates, portals, it's very important now in this present time because soon and very soon we will be introduced to our new family. You know, it's being, should I say, not told directly, but when your parents want to tell you something about puberty and you're only 9 years old, they bring on all these little toys and games, and we have to figure it out by time, it might be too late. You already learned about it. So we are nudged and hinted as President Obama spoke about the aliens are real. And that's like in ha 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 laughter. But Mr. Trump, he has the difficult task of letting us know that these are our new friends, our friendly neighbors, and please get attached to them and you can invite them home for dinner. These things are going to occur. It has not occurred yet, but we are being led up into understanding, overstanding, and understanding as to these occurrence that is going to come upon the earth. Not because it has not happened yet, does not mean it's not going to happen, but preparation is very good. So understand that these portals will be used for the various new friends to make their way back and forth with their various machinery that they transport themselves with. And it's a case where it's showing up everywhere that it's getting a sort of normality. All of a sudden, you look up in the sky and like, oh my God, there's a spaceship. Oh no, there's another one. And oh, I saw one last week. So now it's coming normal, and the eyes are seeing it. We are progressing towards the fact that you know Area 51 could be real, and those grays could be real, and even little green men could be real. And we are understanding these things having occurrence. It's slowly coming into being that mermaids are real. 40 years ago, that was a myth. Now there are real life captures of these strange mythical creatures before us. And it's a case of acceptance. It's no longer a case whereby we can say to ourselves, they don't exist. Because in fact, they have been captured by some people, regular fishermen, to tell the story. And we are seeing a case, as we speak of mermaids, they're also on the menu for dinner, which might be a different show for a different day, but they're on the menu. But people do what people do. But simply, we are trying to come to the conclusion that, you know, people are here unknowing strange things are going to be happening. And with strange things happening, we have to come to the acceptance of it. And the world itself, as I said, is going to be changing. So the world, as we said, the end of the world or end time is not a case of the actual world disappearing, because as we know it, world without end, we can't touch God, earth, and his world. But the world as we know it, the time that we exist as humans, having this, as spirits having this human experience, is going to come to an end, and different things are going to come into being. So it's just where we have reached right now. And if we live long enough, we're going to see some major changes, even of a biblical nature. And this is where we have to come into the acceptance. Regular things are fading away. Hollywood has come so transparent. We know what happens over there. It's no longer a mystery, but we are sharing and having some real mysteries upon the earth and questions that must be answered in a real true way. So we hope and we pray that our governments are there to help us along with certain conditions that may be quite uncomfortable since they are new ones. And, the government will give the warning before, it's too late because they must do so. But prepare yourself on this, wonderful Sunday evening to know and to expect that in 2026 is going to be quite a different type of year. We're not going to say panic and run and break your legs and fall down, but try to, you know, pray about things and ask definitely for a spirit of discernment that you too will not be confused about what is happening and to know that the news, how do we decipher the news? So it is good that we look at different variations of the news. We have different news carriers, and we will be able to tell at certain times what is really going on because we will have something to compare it to. So I'm just saying, don't just take one body of news like channel 13, channel 16, channel 29. No, look at the news, examine the news, and look with an eye of discernment because there are things that are being forced upon us for our acceptance that really does not exist. There's some news that's been given to us that is 5 years old, and the backgrounds will tell because for those who have a keen eye and are looking for certain strategic things, we will know and observe. So just be cautious, and know and observe what's happening, what's going on, what's going off within the realms. Also, too, there is a lot of events are going to come upon the list for 2026. I guess it's going to be quite an eventful year for us, but we are looking forward to, that 3 days of darkness that was spoken about. And last year, a lot of people had a hype about it, and it was almost like it was going to happen, tomorrow. But do not be dismayed, still, it is spoken that destruction will come in our festive times and our feast days. The book of Amos talk about it. I don't want to bring chapter and verse for us tonight, but we know of the various feast days. So let us be aware of when the feast days come. So as we are slowly approaching what, Babylon system would call Easter, which, it's a pagan festival that has been turned into somehow a religious one, but of course, topic for a different day. Let us just be aware of what is happening as the feast days come closer to us. Let us be aware of what's happening in a real sort of way as we see the Iran, uh, Israel slash America type of instability, because the West likes to go to people's country, make it unstable, and then they say, "Oh my God, look what happened here. We got to call in a savior. We got to help." So I see we can welcome our brother Ronnie to the show. He's always
Yeah,
here with us. It's
yeah.
wonderful to have brother Ronnie, and of course, we're doing the war, what's happening with it, and how it affects
Mhm.
us. So at this point, I would
Um,
like the floor to be open. We also welcome our guest Peter Shiloh to the show as well. We welcome uh
if I
Ronnie.
may,
So Ronnie, I'll give you a chance to speak
yes,
at
thank you
this
so
time.
much. Um, Regarding the wall, the Wailing Wall, um, they they said they led that to be the um, wall of the temple Solomon was building, which is not true. The wall, Solomon's temple, was a ways away from that. How that wall got built was the Romans came in and they built the wall. They built the wall. It was incomplete. So the Ashkenaz, the Khazars, whatever you want to call them, used that as their wailing wall because they said that this was the Temple of Solomon, which was not true. I said Rome built it, and when in their wars, I think seven something, and they never completed it. So that's what that was why that wall is there. It's an unfinished wall, and because of the war between Israel and Rome, and so on. But there's so much going on in the dimension and in the physical dimensions of time and space within our lives, within the world. All right. There's not one thing that dictates when, who, what, when, where, why, and how things are going to happen. You can look at the 12 archangels that rule or look over us, that we can call on even. And we're in the fifth dimension of the 12 dimensions that exist and that are coming. The thing is that, we talk about love and agape love and so on, but first things that we have to do is unlimited love for ourselves, individual, so that we can give that love out to everyone else. It's very important to understand or be awoke to these things that are happening of spirit, soul, and body, mind, will, and emotions, and our other senses that we have. And it's we're not there yet. It is open to us as I'm believing, I'm understanding. But the first thing to cure all this stuff, and we're going to go through these physical manifestations of war and the Trumps and all that, and so on. But starting with us, as human beings, you know, we talk about love, and some of us don't love ourselves. We continuously beat up ourselves for one thing or another, past, present, or past or present situations in our lives. And as long as we do that, it's impossible for us to say that we love everybody when we're still trying to love ourselves, and so on. I can go on, but I will not. But
So,
this is how I feel right now.
Ronnie, because I really
Mhm,
want to talk about this dimension that you did mention before. You go too far away
mhm,
from what you just stated. You
mhm,
speak about us entering into the fifth dimension, which again is very true. But what is
mhm.
going to happen, and we have to come to a clear understanding and acceptance of it, some will be left behind. As the
Of course.
Bible says, if story be true, two were laying in a bed, one was taken and one was left. Two were
Mhm,
on a housetop. One was taken and one was left. So we go
mhm.
into the metaphysics of this
Yeah,
all.
that's
About
the rapture theory, which no disrespect, but which I don't believe in. Rapture theory, because why should the Most High, prepare us for all this to run away? you know. But I've analyzed that all along 30 years, and so on. And there's so much in the Bible that's not true, or because it was written to keep people enslaved by the people in the Nicene Council and the Pope and so on, and King James for his own good, and so on. So I I understand what has been said and written. I've studied it. You know, um, I just don't believe that God is preparing or people to go to war to go and run away. I
so,
just it
Ronnie,
doesn't make sense to me at this point. But that's my opinion.
the rapture theory, I'm just saying to
Mm,
you, it's not a
mm,
case where somebody will be snatched and gone. It's a case
mm.
where we take the mindset of things. Two people,
Well,
let's say
mm,
husband and wife, will be lying in a bed. But in the
mhm,
case where we have been elevated to the fifth dimension,
mhm,
some of us are left behind because our very partners that we live with may not be on the same level
Well,
with us.
that's a good point. That
So
is
that
that is
time,
that
because
is
we
that is a
up
good point.
to the fifth dimension is the dimension where love is the vehicle to get you there. And
Mm-hmm.
we speaking of the love, not the love that the world have today, but that true authentic love, and it's
Mm-hmm.
only a few would find it. So therefore, we look at a time where now we existing side by side, coexisting, but we are in different, for simpler terms, we are in different
Mm-hmm.
frame of minds. So you will
Mm-hmm.
find now that there are people who are side by side, but they are strangers to each other because they are not functioning on the same spiritual vibration, as I would
Unequally
say.
yoked.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Unequally yoked, as the term is unequally yoked. But I understand. But there's so much going on within the realm of humanity here. You know, I'm not just focusing on the war because that's going to give a lot of different results. You know, here over the Middle East, so-called Middle East, and here in the United States and throughout the world, it's going to be affected. It's like dropping a pea in a bowl of water. You have ripple effects, and we believe that we know what the ripple effects are going to be, and then we may be right in some and not in the other. But there's going to be effect that affects everything, and and so on. And we have to just be prayerful and meditate and be prepared, and that's it. That's it.
Okay, so we give our other guest, Peter Shiloh, time to speak about the evening. Go ahead.
Yes, greetings and blessing, my brothers and sisters. Love and respect and honor. Yes, all these happenings in the world today was prophesied by the Most High. His Imperial Majesty Emperor King Selassie said, until the philosophy that holds one race superior and another inferior is totally discredited, abandoned, destroyed, there will be war, rumors of war, and this is exactly what is happening in the world today. Yes, equal rights and justice, that is what we need amongst nation and people. The Almighty speak, things have to happen. What was hidden from the wise and prudent, now revealed to the babe and suckling. All these secrets of men and people in Babylon, hiding the truth from the people. The truth is being exposed now. Know, people's eyes has been open. Yes. So they will have to deal with all these situations. And mankind think they are going to break the almighty laws and commandments and there is no judgment for it. No, it doesn't go that way. The seed is so we're going to reap. Everything comes from where it comes from. Love comes from, love goes where love comes from. You understand? So careful of the seeds that you're sowing in these times and every time. Because what a man sows is going to reap. Yes, what they did to the black nation and to Christ, the world is paying for it right now. How can they expect to break the laws and his commandments and feel like they would go free? No, no, no. They're going to pay for it. The Almighty desire is for a world peace and goodwill to all people on earth, you know. So that is Jah will. So until Jah have his will, there will be no more peace on this earth. Jah have to have his will and what Jah say have to happen. So people, let not your heart be troubled and stress not out yourself because prophecy must fulfill. Yes, get back in your prophecy. Get back in your original lifestyle of love and respect for each other. And don't follow Babylon and them shits them and put
put your trust and your love in things without life. Yeah, we have to love and respect things with life. And that's the original way of life. Yes. So that's my input. I hope it add to someone's lives. Blessed love, Rastafari.
We thank you so very much. That's Peter Shiloh, our musical director from the musical unit of the Ethiopian World Federation, Local 26. And we thank you so much for bringing this bit of wisdom to us. And when we speak of love and genuine love, and how mankind should really react on the judgment that takes place, because for how long shall we continue like that? So this evening, we are sharing a wonderful evening. And when we talk about love, I mean, that true, authentic love, how many of us can find it? How many of us knows how to give it? Because really, you have to have it within you to be able to give it. So lifting ourselves onto that fifth dimension is a place where it's admirable to be, but it takes work. You just don't arrive there. And it takes spiritual work, and that work takes working with oneself, firstly, you know, in order to arrive at that destination, you have to go to the man in the mirror. You have to examine what's going on with you as a person first within your spiritual self. And it's a good place to be. And it's a safe and wonderful, relaxed place to be when you have spiritual strength with relaxation, because the world is faced, we are faced in this world as we pass through with many complications. Some of it break us down totally as humans, whereby, we want to give up on life itself. Because, some people, that's where they are today, where they want to take their life. And of course, we are not the givers of life, neither should we be the takers of life, ours or anyone else's. So the true love that we are seeing really is that elevation of one's spiritual self to accept what is happening at this special time, because we cannot stop what is happening at this special time. I want to welcome really each and every one who come out with us this evening, and for who would like to share the platform and talk about our topic this evening. I like to have the floor open. Yeah, I want to give us some footage. Is there anything you want to talk about? We have some footage of real news that has occurred and that we would not see on our regular news platform. So it is good as we watch and see and observe what's actually happening in and around us. We pay attention to some various pieces of the news and try to compare some events so that we could be a little wiser as to what's going on and off at this time. So, Charlie, would you like to say anything for the evening?
Well, I think that it's important to realize, and you can, just to reiterate, what we're seeing, you're not going to be seeing on the regular network television. There have been censorship. There's been threats of imprisonment if anybody shows what's happening on the ground in Israel. They have cut off the internet. They have gone out of their way, and I think they're charging journalists a fee of $5,000 and citizens up to 5 years in prison for showing their footage of what's going on in Israel, because obviously they want to paint a certain narrative that's contrary to the truth. Because it's important to remain a posture or a position of power or being in control. However, people in Israel that got their cell phones, they are showing a totally and complete different story. And you're getting people saying how terrible it is, and I would be the first one to say the condition in Tel Aviv right now and people dying and the place being destroyed is horrible. But I would be derelict of my responsibilities if I did not bring up and say you reap what you sow, because Tel Aviv is starting to look like Gaza, where they killed all of those innocent Palestinians. And the things with Tehran or Iran, they told them, we are not Palestine. We are not Iraq. We are not any of those countries. We're not Venezuela. You're not coming in here and just taking our president leave and thinking ain't nothing going to happen. So I think that even in America, we have to reassess what has happened, what is going on, and what that means to us. And I think that one of the things we ought to be paying attention to is that there seems to be a shift in power. And if there's a shift in power, and sometimes that shift is only a psychological shift, because right now, America and Israel is not being seen as the leaders at all, but they're getting beat up pretty bad. The question is, what are we going to do as a people in that gap to improve our own situation? Are we going to just sit back and look and see what's going on? Are we going to just look and see and getting our little huddles and talk about what's happening and say how bad it is or how good it is or whatever it is, whether you for it or against it, whether you like to see Israel being punished or not? What are you going to do? What are we going to do to affect our lives to take advantage of this tragedy that we see going on that will make us better as a people, and what we need to do to come together? So those are the things that come to my mind when I see everything that's going on. When I look at the war, I think that the most indelible impression that's being made to me is the total uh, devastation, the total myth of Israel and the United States being so totally protected with this iron domes and all of these other very, very multi-million-dollar defense weaponry, and yet Iran just went through all of them. And the second in charge in Iran was on the show this week, and the reporter asked him, like, well, what are you going to do? What is Iran's position if America brings boots on the ground? His response to the reporter was, "We waiting. Tell him, come on, bring it. We waiting." And if what's happening now is any indication as to what's going to happen should they bring boots on the ground, I think America needs to stay right where they at, because it don't make sense of us losing our sons and daughters fighting for Israel.
But I
You
like
know,
very much what you said, Charlie, because just to interrupt you for a second to add to your conversation, as you said about sons and daughters that are being lost, again, we go back to the perception of the fake news. As far as has reported, it's only 6 soldiers they brought home wrapped in, draped in the flag. But in real, I saw another piece of news where
hundreds,
there was, oh, thank you very much,
hundreds.
Charlie.
We've had hundreds of casualties, and they trying to tell us 6 or 7.
Yes. So very careful examination with the news, because in a case like that, you know, even your simple mind that does not know much about anything can tell you with those bombings, it's not 6 people. That was just 6 people in one house. But I mean, there's a lot of disaster, a lot of destruction going on, and it's being hidden away, as Charlie just said, because charges are being laid against people who wish to report things that are happening in Tel Aviv, and that is real. So therefore, you see a nation or two nations that has been most powerful because it was stated that way and no one ever tested them because of fear. Now they are in fact a very powerful army coming from the American army, and Israel have their great intelligence. But unless one was tested, how could one know? And then when you are tested and you fail, what do you say then? Because Israel and America together in their achievements was able to bomb a school in Iran that had babies. This was a kindergarten school. And they thought it was probably one of the bad fellas they were knocking out. Only the excuse was, coming from the American side, they accept that they bombed the school and killed 120 kids, probably with the teachers. But the acceptance of this was that the intelligence that was given that 3 years prior, that was a bomb shelter. So that when they bombed the place, they had no presence, information, or intelligence to show it was a kindergarten school. So, therefore, how intelligent are you when you are working on 3 years ago information? Look how things change. You can have a big structure tonight. I remember this is a real situation. I have to diversify to diverse. There was a gym, and this was, something that blow everybody mind. This happened about 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago. A gym, like, with all the equipment, people sign up to go and everything, and probably a two-story building and everything else. And this place was there. People signed up to go to the gym. And the day before the gym was supposed to open, the whole building disappeared. I mean, disappeared. People who was coming in the morning to say, okay, let's go and work out because the building is opening tomorrow, Monday. When they got there 6 o'clock in the morning, the building was not there. And this made the 6 o'clock news, I'm telling you. I watched this and I was totally amazed. So let's just say we know how fast things could disappear. So 3 years from the date as to which something was placed or built or planted, we speak of present day. If you're going to bomb an area, won't you not find out presently what's sitting there? So therefore, Israel and America together, the intelligence was being placed in check because now the enemy, as it would seem, realized you're not so smart after all. One check. Secondly, the war is being fought in such a way Iran knows that they do not have the monetary backing or the power as America has with army and money, particularly. So this war is being fought whereby Iran is using, let's say, for example, $10 to build 10 drones, and America need $1,000 to knock off one of those drones. So pound for pound, they are having America waste money, let's say, fighting this war, whereby they're just toying with them because they are having such a low cost by which they can, bring machinery in the air to cause structural damage. And America has 10 times the cost of disarming them. So this is a certain type of war, which I would say this is some real ancient technology because they are just not going up there with billions of dollars from their economy being wasted in a war, which is also being questioned presently because the American economy is dwindling away. Yet you're spending hundreds, no hundreds of millions of dollars fighting a war which you wonder at the end of the day if you should have any involvement with. So here we are, and we are giving our comments, and we welcome each and everyone to the show and to the floor if you wish to bring a comment. The floor is open. Well, we're seeing sometimes, people coming on and off a little bit, but the floor is open for anyone who wants to join us this evening. We are just talking about the effects of the war that's happening with Israel, America joined forces against the Iranians, and we are seeing a different kind of strategy being used in this modern time, 2026, whereby for a country that have great intelligence, that have great, you know, should I say, result with fighting other countries. And here we are with a war that seemingly America and Israel is losing. At least financially, it's putting a big dent into the economy, or rather the budget for this war. Because earlier on, it was stated that this war will last 4 to 6 weeks. And I know, and I don't know too much about war or army intelligence or strategy, but when you think of a war, 4 to 6 weeks, that's a fight in the playground. That is going to last 4 to 6 weeks. That's like a beef. That's not a war. A war goes on whereby people are killed, bodies adds up, food shortages are around the corner, curfews are there, and famine is inevitable. That's a war. So when we hear 4 to 6 weeks, having spoken by Mr. Trump, who you know right now it's quite questionable as to his mental stability. And we are asking that we check with our dementia doctors around the corner just to see if he has a clean bill of health, because some things are really questionable as to what he is saying. But we have to take it with a pinch of salt. So as we go along with conversation. But particularly for facts, the war has taken quite a toll on the economy as far as the budget for this war. And you wonder how much more money could be, spent on this war, which seems to be going into another week or two. And from the looks of things, it could drag on till summer. Who knows? And you would be adding up figures and monies that could be have spent in other areas. But we don't know who owns the House, who owns the Senate, how Congress is going, if the government is still open, closed, shut down. I mean, it's the year 10. We don't know. We're back to square one, let's just say. So we are just observants. But I want to pay special attention to something that our engineer Charlie said concerning what do we use this opportunity for. There's a small window of opportunity, and I say centralize, gather yourself together. It's a period where we don't have to wonder what they are doing, because, as I was corrected last week by my little brother Black Eye, we are not at war. They are. But the opportunity that we can organize ourselves efficiently, we have the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, a body for we the Black people of the world. We take seriously to this time when we see an opportunity whereby we have to gather ourselves together, because we already know they're not like us. When we see rumors of wars and all of these various activities, it gives us time to check ourselves as a people. Let's just say, are we prepared? Do we have information enough to go around where we could be in service to each other? So, as the serious times come along, we would like for, important our viewers and the ones that's in our platform to discuss seriously and understand where we are, not just as a people, but where we are in location. Because anything can happen at any time, and all is fear and love and war. So let us be mindful that we could share knowledge as it go along, but let's keep our eyes open and be vigilant that we may have to be our brother's keeper at some point in time. So we're going to leave it open and we're going to talk a little more. So anybody want to join in our conversation, you can do so now.
So I have a
Yes, a
question.
little bit
If it's
of
not
right.
our
Yeah.
war, then should we be voting or hoping for one side or the other to win? If it's not our war,
No,
what should be our position?
it is not our war and it's not our business because if we should think about fairness, let us go into Iran. If we should go into Iran, there's more than 150,000 black people in Iran who are the remnants of the 12 tribes of Israel, namely Dan and I think Issachar. Nobody's talking about that. That's why I first mentioned spiritual war. If we should go in to take sides, there was a time when, as part from the transatlantic war, which we saw and come to know, there was other wars of slavery that took place, and the Iranians are not so innocent as to taking black people into slavery. So therefore, niggers read and run, stay far. Coming to so-called the other side, which they spoke of them in the book of Revelation. We have read our Bibles.
Right.
They say
But
that
you
the
know,
Jews
I
are the
read a thing that said that black African Americans don't have anything to worry about. They're not being targeted.
no, they're not. Simply because it's a spiritual war. And if you touch the apple of God's eye, you should know what will happen to you. So the Iranians are very wise. The Iranians also know of the portal that is down there and the purpose of the portal. The portal are for the aliens to have access to because they were thrown out from the third heavens and they have hit the earth, like the book tells us, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for Satan and his angels has come down. When they were thrown out, they end up at the first heavens. They didn't hit earth yet. Now is the time. So that portal is needed for the fallen angels who also have their offsprings, like Mr. T and the others. I'm not calling name, you can whistle. And his wife is probably a reptilian as
I
well.
like you call their name.
Yes. Around this part of, so they can go through the various portals because they can no longer enter into the heavens and they like this part of the atmosphere. So they will be helped with their children and their lineage to create certain areas upon the universe so they can feel comfort. Iran just happened to have a portal where they need to be. That's hence the reason for the war. They said they're not touching African Americans simply because they know we are the people. We're the apple of God's eye. We are the people. And they also know that most importantly, most Black African Americans, if not all, came from the tribe of Judah. In the White House, they have information of the names and the people and how things go down. So the Iranians, you know very well, touch not the Lord's anointed and do his prophets no harm. They're not stupid. That's why earlier it's a spiritual war. It's a war designed particularly to take out the Ashkenazis, of which, in a little while from now, there'll be no more, but you didn't hear it here, allegedly. So this is what this is really about. I said to you all, when everybody's wearing long skirts and hair ties, don't say you're copying Sadie, because all of you all might just be Muslim in a little while from now. I'm just Rasta. So this is going to happen because the truth must be told. And if we are awakened and our eyes are open, everything is going to go upside down, topsy turvy. So we are going to find out about those people with the hats and the curls. And this is what it's really about. Because we wonder for how long, and our God is not asleep, this shall go on for. We did not know in such a strange circumstances that there will be a people that will be destroyed who we thought was untouchable. But you have heard about the mice and the lion, haven't we? Such a great big creature, a tiny creature as the mouse. One day he had to help the lion because a net was thrown into the jungle, and accidentally the lion got held into this net. So the mice had to bite the net and get the lion out eventually. So sometimes when we are big and important and we get caught in the net, we better look for the mice. So, for those who will catch this next week, I will explain. But there is a people who have been so very powerful, who, appear to be king of the jungle, has now been caught into the net. Shall we take it from under the rug? We put that right back. Not our business. Not our beeswax either. So the black people in Iran, my prayers go out to you. But I know since it's a spiritual war, you all will not be bombed or anything, or no harm and danger will come to your heads because you are the apple of the eye. You all are from the tribe of Judah. So all of that brings us to know that that is also Africa, and the truth has to be told because there's nothing called the Middle East, which our brother Ronnie seems to know very well because he often sends me various videos that explain things. So we are seeing that it's coming back to just how things used to be. And it is different, so it was the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So this is what we are saying when we see the world is coming to an end. Not the world as God's creation, but the world as we know it. The lies that has been told, the deception that has been made. And by the way, Ethiopia wants back their things. I don't know why I just need to say that because I was in a meeting with His Royal Imperial Majesty Prince Amrias Saleh Selassie, and he did speak about getting their monuments back. So I'm just saying, the world and the lies and deception, those things are coming to an end. That's the world that is coming to an end. Because for hundreds and hundreds of years, we have been told all this fake nonsense. And even today, I would say the white people are telling you that some of the things that they have come to learn and know has been a lie. So we are seeing their world also is coming to an end because of the truth that is being told. And it's a case of for how long could you go on with it? It's not much longer you could, because some point in time, you'll have to tell one lie. You need another lie to cover that lie, and three more lies to cover that lie, and so on and so on and so on until we go on. But at some point down the road, if it's 100 years from now or 1,000, that would fade out because the truth must be told. And it has come to a point whereby, as we said, we are being lifted into the fifth dimension. We have to observe and know the truth. And this is where we are as to saying the world is coming to an end. It means the world as we know it, with all the lies and deception. But the world, which is the new world that we would see in the horizon, is the new state of consciousness that we are going to enter. And for those of us who have to be left behind, my heart goes out to those who have to be left behind because some of us and some of those will, in fact, be left behind. So, again, I want to welcome you all to the Sunday show. It's the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated Woman Auxiliary with your host, Sadie Gomez, coming to you live and alive, very live with you. And always thankful to our engineer Charlie, who has brought us this far for over a good 7 to 8 year period. And we are still rocking and rolling. And I'm thankful for, of course, Peter Shiloh, who have given us our jingle, which is going to last us for a very long time. And for all our listening viewers who wasn't able to make it in studio but are out there listening, we thank you. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press that arrow thumbs up to say you like. So we can always, bring you a very important, informative program of which you two are part of because we give you a chance to give your piece in between. We like to bring the facts here, and most of all, we deal extremely with the truth at whatever cost it can be. But the truth will in fact set you free because if you continue to lie, it can only go on for a series of time until which time you will be forced to tell the truth so we can move on and lighten our burdens. But we are here observing what is going on in the world around us, and the place where we are presently. It's not pleasant. It has been a dark time as the year is approaching because the new year is April. So I'm just saying, look what we are going to be faced with for the new year. This has to run a course. As I mentioned earlier on, it will very unpleasant. It will be deaths, lots of deaths. There'll be things falling out of the sky, helicopters, famines, food shortages, because you see, very important waterways are being blocked. The Strait of Hormuz, which is being controlled, and many shipping areas of commerce, and of course, oil reserve. Oil has gone up per barrel, which is really a good thing for Trinidad and Tobago and for some of the oil countries. But what's really happening? Gas prices has gone up, and summer, which normally people use more gas, and gas prices automatically goes up in summer. We as a regular people are being faced with the brunt of what to do as far as the war is concerned. So we see how it can affect a regular set of people. And then, of course, we think about the import and export. And of course, with war, ships and regular transport can affected. We see shipping, air transport is also affected. And we think of medicine, people who need to have their medicine brought in by air, seeing that, some things are really dependent on import, those things will be affected. So we are mindful as to what can affect us, what are we going to do, but particularly what are we going to do as a people. So we do have an area of let's just say, of understanding, overstanding, where we see divisions and separations, but we see opportunity for the black race to know if this doesn't concern us, what does then? Because let's say, for example, which one of the African countries can go to war? I mean, how absurd could it be that I understand that President Netanyahu was asking Ugandans? Ugandans simply reply, we never went to war before. What are we going to do there? It's a strange place for us. Don't call us in that. Maybe you can call Nigeria if you want, but not us. It has been a joke among the African continent that we even saw in one video, which was quite funny. Young African man, he built a plane out of cardboard, and he had the whole Uganda flag painted on and everything. And you saw where he was running because he had the wheels and everything. And you saw where as he run, and he bring his foot inside, the whole plane fall apart. So it was just a joke really to show that, war for us is like children playing in the sand because it just is what it is, playtime. So Africa is not getting involved, but President Netanyahu still had, the melons to ask them if they would come join. So it's not really possible. There's no weapon of warfare that can be used because Africa needs to go plant some food into the ground to be sure that when all of this goes down, we have some food to eat because war affects our food supply. It brings on famines, it brings on a lot of inconveniences with food. As far as I can remember, we have not been in a war for many years, or we are too young to experience or understand what World War II was about. But we heard it from our parents. That wasn't pleasant. 1 pound of rice, they're going to ration for a family of 6. How often can you eat when a war is going on? Once a week? I mean, twice a month. So we will be affected as regular people when a country is in war. So, as I said, let's be mindful. Let's see what we can do as our people, Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. We are going to have to set some precedents as to what this area of opportunity has allowed us. There's a time frame at which we could function in certain areas, and we have to be quite vigilant in understanding when something happens. Every situation brings on, causes an effect, and we have to look into other areas as to our survival as a people. And this is a very important time for us to know that we have to centralize, organize, and really know that a time has come where changes have to be made. Conscious changes at that, because our very survival, as I often stress and emphasize, depend on us coming together. And it starts with that one love that we preach, and we know we are the black and people of the world, and some of us are a little brown, but we still are the black and brown people of the world, which we have to make a difference as we go along, as we continue. So there's no joke about the time that we are faced with, but there's a seriousness as to what we're going to do with this time. Let us be useful and find great uses in this time. Is a time where we have to love each other despite what is going on, or very survival dependent. And again, this is your host, Sadie Gomez of Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, and our Sunday show, which is also your show. And we come live and alive, and thanking you always, always for coming out on this Sunday. Charlie, how are we doing with time? Okay, so we have our musicians is on tonight. I know we have one in studio. We have Peter Child is in with us.
We got a half hour. We got 29 minutes.
Yeah,
If we-
that's a long time for time. So we just have our studio is not filled up tonight. So I was expecting a little more people to drop by.
Unit mobile device. Two.
So I will leave the floor open for those who are here with us, able to join our conversation. The floor is open. Oh. Yato, you gonna join us? Wel- Welcome, Yato. Yato, unmute your phone. Yato, right? All right, no, not a problem. We welcome Yato. We welcome Peter Shile if you want to give us. Peter Shile is going to tell us a little bit about the music session.
Brother Shiloh, Mike is muted. We can't hear anything you're saying.
Mike is sorry about that. Yes. Report on the musical unit. Yes, we have this very, very, very big thing going on. The talent search, which is going to be very, very, very good for the organization, bringing people, bringing funds, and open the eyes of a lot of people who don't know what is happening in Ethiopian World Federation. It is very good to have young people on board, and this musical thing, what we are doing, it's the real thing to get people on board. You know, music is like magnet, and you know, we will use it to increase our numbers and increase our everything, our finance, communication. So what we are trying to do right now is put out some flyers out there. So but before we do all these things, we'll have to come to call a meeting and come together and let you guys know exactly where we're gonna be and you know what we're gonna be doing at that time. So look out. We are coming stronger and better this year. Respect and honor to each and every one. Blessed love. Rastafari. I'll bless.
Well, you heard from our musical unit and our musical director, people.
Yes, Rasta.
And we are so very thankful. So, Charlie, we're going to have a short evening this evening. You know, Yato is not able to come on. I know he's there. If he can, you want to speak, Yato,
Yes,
if you
he's
can.
there, but he was saying something about the voice. His sounding
Oh,
wasn't.
all right. So, can come on. All right, no problem. So, for this evening, you know, we thank, shall we going to wrap it up this evening a little earlier? And we thank for the notification that our musical director bring, and we also want to say that we are looking forward to sponsorship as well from various people that we will know and be in and around our area. So this is what we are looking forward to, and we thank each and everyone for coming out on this wonderful Sunday evening, and please join us again next week Sunday around the same time. You stay blessed, our lovely studio audience inside and outside. So one love and God bless. Charlie,
Let's
you
a
can
big
take us out with our song.
outro is the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated Women Auxiliary presents Empress Sadie Saunders.